Chloe Adams and I were reborn together into the small basement we rented after graduation. We stepped out the door in tacit agreement, neither of us mentioning staying together. She went abroad with her childhood friend to continue her studies, while I stayed at the company to keep working hard. 7 years later, she became a young, rising designer with a bright future and a happy family. And I was still struggling at the same company. On the 7th anniversary, Professor Wilson organized a class reunion. Chloe returned. She had now transformed into a top designer, enjoying both fame and fortune. When I entered, the classmates were gathered around her praising her talent. "Chloe, you're a big name in our industry now. We knew back in school you had a special gift. While the rest of us took a week on an assignment, you finished it in 2 days. I heard you even set up a Chloe scholarship at the school. That's amazing. If I'd known, I would have followed you back then. Chloe is not only very capable, she's also very pretty. I heard your current boyfriend is a real tall, rich, handsome guy. I just want to know, how did you two end up together in the first place?" Chloe lowered her head and smiled faintly. "It's all fate. Later, people even started talking about me. How did you break up with Ethan back then? I remember you two were so lovey-dovey. I was totally shipping you." Chloe frowned slightly, and the smile on her face froze in an instant. "We weren't suitable for each other." Everyone watched her closely. Seeing she didn't want to say more, they shifted the topic back to her and Noah Carter's perfect match. After I brushed the dirt off my body, I straightened my back and walked in. Class monitor Leo Brown saw me first. "Look, our school heartthrob is coming towards us. Ethan, come on, hurry up and have a drink." "How did you end up looking so disheveled? Did you fall?" I smiled and offered a few polite remarks, then turned and met Chloe's eyes. She rolled her eyes at me, her whole demeanor radiating contempt. Her makeup was exquisite, and wearing clothes stamped with the Dior logo made her look like a delicate princess. Noah, standing beside her, wore a couture suit and gently put an arm around her shoulders. The two of them standing together, anyone would have to admit they looked well matched. As for me, traces of mud still clung to my clothes, making me look especially slovenly, as if I'd just crawled out of a dumpster. But I didn't care about that at all. I simply nodded at her as a greeting, then turned to chat with other classmates. "Do you remember Sophia Taylor?" "Of course we do. Back in school, she was the campus celebrity. Pretty, rich, and talented. The complete white-collar beauty. She's also Professor Wilson's student. She'll be here soon. I heard she's done well over the years. She sponsored Professor Wilson's projects several times." They chatted idly from all corners of the country, but most of the conversation revolved around those successful people. I kept my head down, fiddling with my phone. There was still some time before Professor Wilson would come over. I felt miserable in the mud-stained clothes, so I had someone bring a change of clothes and went to the restroom to change. When I came out of the restroom, Chloe was pacing at the doorway. I hadn't wanted to get entangled with her, and was about to turn and leave, but unexpectedly, she called out to stop me. "You've been slogging away at that lousy company for so many years, and when you came, you couldn't even be bothered to hire a car? Still falling flat on your face out there. How embarrassing." She looked me up and down, her whole being radiating dissatisfaction with me. I turned around, looked at that all-too-familiar face, and replied firmly, "This is my business. It has nothing to do with you." After so many years, those words no longer stir even the slightest ripple in my heart. Chloe gritted her molars. "Then stay in the mud for the rest of your life. Forever something that can't be shown in public." After speaking, she clicked forward in her high heels, but halfway she turned back, a hint of triumph on her face. "Ethan, you're still as stubborn with your words as before. But no matter how well you pretend, I know you've regretted it." Regret? Watching her figure gradually fade away, I thought of the many things from my past life. In my previous life, Chloe, and I'm married early. At first, things were tolerable. After work, we'd stay in our little home, cooking and watching movies, plain but happy. But in the end, we were defeated by the everyday grind. Before my rebirth, we had a huge fight. The fight was about her wanting me to quit my job and start over with her overseas, but I wasn't willing to give up everything here. Chloe was smashing things and yelling at the top of her lungs, completely out of control. I rubbed my temples. We've both gone abroad. What about Lily? Lily is our daughter. Chloe is an only child, and her parents are getting old. My parents passed away early, and her parents didn't want us to leave home to work overseas. Lily is still young and can't be left alone, so I stayed working in Star City. The company wasn't very large, but the employee benefits were good. If you worked hard, there was a chance to become a partner. That path was certainly hard, but for Chloe's family, for giving my family a better life, what did hardship matter? Besides, my in-laws, Mr. Adams and Mrs. Adams, treated me like their own son, and I treasured that family all the more. But the happy days didn't last long. Ever since Chloe visited a friend's company overseas, she became single-minded about developing her career abroad. She always felt that if she had chosen to study overseas from the start, she would have been far more successful than she is now. In reality, our life back then wasn't bad. We had a house and a car with no loans, and our combined savings were in the 7 figures in dollars. Yet she was inexplicably dissatisfied with the status quo. Chloe's eyes were bloodshot as she stared at me. Don't you dare think you can trap me for life with a child. My parents are old, but they're agile and have pensions. They don't need our care at all. Besides, we could take Lily with us. If our parents get sick, we could bring them to live with us. Dream on. Starting over with the child and parents is not that easy. You'd have to readjust to the language, the social environment, school, and work. When you can barely take care of yourself, where would you find the energy to care for anyone else? I tried to calm down and reason with her, but she interrupted me as soon as I began to speak. Ethan, I'm asking you one last time. Do you choose me or that crappy job? If you choose to take the job, we'll get a divorce right now. I froze in place. I hadn't expected her to bring up divorce just because she wanted to study abroad. Chloe, why do you insist on starting over elsewhere? I really couldn't understand. She sneered at the corner of her mouth. Do you think in a place like Star City, you can make something of yourself? Even if you don't care, even if you want to lie flat here, if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about Lily. Do you want Lily to end up like you, groveling and working for others her whole life? I was so furious I was boiling. Wanting to be a partner in the company is lying flat. Chloe, opportunities aren't only overseas. If you do well, there are paths anywhere. The life we have now is the greatest security for Lily and Mom and Dad. Enough. Chloe interrupted me impatiently. If you won't go, I will. I should never have married you in the first place. Weak, spineless, no responsibility or courage that a man should have, a coward. All you ever do is stand around the stove. What kind of future can that lead to? She cursed as she packed her luggage. It wasn't the first time I'd heard similar words. I used to think she was just blunt and spoke harshly, but now that I think about it, words said so often can't be lies. I'm afraid that in her heart, I've always been a hopeless failure. Saying I'm not disheartened would be a lie. No matter how busy I am with work each day, I still make time to take care of all the household chores, tutor the child, and be filial to my parents. I feel for how hard she works and just want to shoulder more of it for her. But in her eyes, all that has become a sign of weakness and incompetence. She stormed out with her suitcase, and worried about her unstable emotions, I kept following closely behind. No one expected what would happen next. The driver drove the car straight into the river. I got out immediately to try to save her, but my ankle was ensnared by water plants, and she was trapped inside the car with no way to call for help. When I opened my eyes again, we had both been reborn. After being reborn, we tacitly never mentioned the engagement again. She went abroad to study despite her parents' objections, and I, just like in my previous life, stayed at the company. Since it was the path I chose, I never regretted it. On the way back to the banquet hall, my wife Sophia called me. Assistant Emma said you just fell into a flower bed trying to save a child. Did you get hurt? The voice on the other end of the line was full of urgency and concern, and a smile unconsciously crept into my features. No, I'm fine. Don't worry. That's good. I still have a few things to finish up here. I'll come over as soon as I'm done. Okay. Don't rush. Take your time. See you later. After hanging up, the smile at the corner of my mouth hadn't faded when I heard Leo call my name, saying Professor Wilson wouldn't be here for a while. He grinned and urged me. Come on and have a drink with the brothers. It's been years since we've seen each other. I don't know who suddenly brought up the old rivalry between Noah and me. Actually, Noah and I didn't have any deep hatred. It was just that I had always been the top student in the department during school, and he was always one step behind me. He resented that and liked to pick on me and steal things from me. I remember back then, all the department's matters were handled by Senior Ethan. He was the professor's most proud student. Yeah, it's just that times have changed. The best students are now doing worse than before. Exactly. And don't forget Senior Chloe. She used to be Senior Ethan's girlfriend, and now she's engaged to Brother Noah. The atmosphere instantly turned awkward. The whole hall was so quiet you could hear everyone's breathing. Leo stepped in to smooth things over. Hey, that's all in the past. Why bring it up? Drink. Chloe specially brought this back. We finally got into a private room. Noah had been waiting for me and didn't let me refuse. He shoved a glass at me. Ethan, come taste this. He stared fixedly at me, trying to read something from my face. Everyone gathered around the two of them, praising how good the drink was. I took a sip and set it aside. I found it mediocre, and besides, Sophia and I are trying to conceive, so I shouldn't drink much. I meant to give it a token taste and be done, but Noah clung to me like a stubborn sticker, insisting I properly appreciate the drink. Everyone there had been through the vanity and struggle of success. They could all see he was deliberately making things difficult for me. Some people saw me silent and follow the wind. Senior Ethan just can't tell good wine from bad, can he? Like Zhu Beiji eating ginseng fruit. Junior, don't mind. Just joking to liven things up. Professor Wilson is kind-hearted after all, inviting every cat and dog student today. Don't say that. Who doesn't know Junior Ethan used to always curry favor with Professor Wilson? They kept hinting around me, but Noah smiled complacently, his vanity fully on display. All right, I just wanted Ethan to come taste the wine, nothing else. He said it, but his eyes were full of provocation. I couldn't be bothered with his indirect games, nor deal with this bunch of fair-weather friends, so I walked to the door to check the message from Sophia. She was still worried about me and said she'd come with Professor Wilson. I quickly replied, telling her to be careful on her way. No sooner had I sent the message than Chloe came over. Ethan, I used to think you were just a coward about going abroad, but I didn't expect that in the few years we've been apart, you'd become such a weakling even when it comes to drinking. So she had been standing aside watching the commotion all along. Noah and I are getting engaged. She flipped her hair. You know, if you had come with me to start a business overseas back then, maybe we would have been married with kids by now. Too bad you insisted on sticking to your own views. The result of being stubborn is accomplishing nothing, being looked down on, being mocked. I cut off her babbling and gave a perfunctory reply. Congratulations to you. Chloe's expression immediately went stiff, disbelief in her voice. Congratulations on what? Congratulations on your marriage. Wishing you happiness, I said flatly. Chloe glared at me in fury, her fists clenched tight. I didn't understand why she was angry. Back then, she left decisively. Yet looking at our situations now, it's clearly I who hasn't had the more glamorous life. She was so angry she lost her composure. You better mean it. She lifted her head high like a spiteful goose, radiating superiority from head to toe. I didn't want to deal with her anymore, so I looked down and walked around her toward the inside. If it weren't for meeting Professor Wilson, I wouldn't have come to this party at all. Just as I passed Chloe, I ran straight into Noah's good friend Jake Miller and his group. I don't know what favors Noah had given them, but these people obeyed him without question. Jake, the leader, smiled and stopped me. Hey, old classmate, don't be in such a hurry to leave. After so many years, don't you want to catch up with the brothers a bit? We don't have anything to talk about. We weren't close in college. I said calmly, just wanted to end the conversation quickly. Jake and his group immediately put on sour faces. What are you talking about? Still acting like you're back at school, still that tall, handsome, top of the class star, huh? As he spoke, he draped his hand over my shoulder. Buddy, open your eyes and see what time it is now. Almost 10 years since graduation. Nobody cares about grades anymore. It's all about social status. A sneer hung at the corner of Jake's mouth, and the people beside him chimed in, their faces moving with derision. He gave my coat a tug. Oh, so you even changed into new clothes, finally got those mud spots washed off? Don't you dare put on a brave face for appearances. If you buy new clothes, will you still have enough money left to eat? How about this? Crawl under my buddy's crotch, and I'll reimburse you for those clothes. After he spoke, everyone burst into laughter. I slapped his hand away, feeling like I'd walked into a den of idiots today. Take your filthy hand off me and get lost. Don't strut around here pretending to be powerful. Having said that, I walked around them and moved on, naturally not noticing Jake's murderous look from behind. I found a small private room to get away from the commotion. When I returned to the small banquet hall, everyone was looking at me with strange eyes. I still didn't understand why when I heard Noah speak. It's nothing, just a watch. If it's lost, it's lost. Don't let it ruin class harmony. Noah's watch was missing, and the only people who had been in close contact with him moments ago were Chloe and me. During the wine, tasting his hand had been on my shoulder, and coupled with the earlier unpleasantness of the tasting, everyone naturally assumed I'd stolen his watch to get revenge. You're just lucky for being good-natured. That was a token between you and Chloe. If it were me, I'd investigate it to the end. Exactly. Some people can be poor, and that's one thing. But how can they be so petty as to do this kind of sneaky thieving? Laughter rippled through the banquet hall. I frowned, annoyed, and said, if there's something to say, just say it straight. We're all grown men here. Who are you trying to beat around the bush and annoy? I swallowed my anger. I didn't want to make the scene too embarrassing. Oi, if you find us annoying, then don't go doing stuff like this. A short man in glasses sneered sarcastically. I walked straight up to him, staring at him with a steady face. He looked startled and immediately took 2 steps back. What? I told the truth. Are you going to hit me for that? I snorted coldly. Hit you? As if you deserve it. You. He clenched his fists, like a small beast poised to pounce at any moment. Someone, seeing how awkward the scene had become, hurriedly stepped in to smooth things over. All right, today is the alumni gathering organized by Professor Wilson. It's supposed to be a happy day. Don't make it unpleasant. Noah also pretended to speak. We're all Professor Wilson's students. There's no need to make it so ugly. Let it go. But his expression didn't look like someone ready to turn the page. I turned to look at his hypocritical face and couldn't help sneering. Let it go. No way. Investigate. Today we must dig into this thoroughly. I want to see who dared to throw this dirty water on me. I glared at Noah, my tone resolute, carrying an unquestionable authority. It's just a watch, not some prized treasure. Why does everyone look like a thief? Noah was provoked by my words. His face darkened frighteningly. So Ethan's watches must all be worth tens of millions, huh? Never would have guessed Ethan is so low-key. The others joined in mocking. No one believed that a failure, who couldn't even afford decent clothes, could resist the temptation of $5 million. With no evidence, this group had already convicted me. What's low-key? It's just pretending. When he first arrived, he was covered in mud, probably in a hurry, ran all the way over and accidentally ate dirt. So, that means Junior Ethan really loves sports, huh? They all burst out laughing. They knew these words were rude, but under the guise of joking they vented their malice, and I, powerless, penniless nobody, was their chosen target for bullying. Chloe had just come back from outside and asked, "What are you all laughing at?" Everyone immediately stopped laughing. Chloe's eyes were red, and the end of her voice trembled. She had clearly just been crying. When Noah saw her, he immediately stepped forward, wrapped an arm around her shoulders, and gently asked what was wrong. Chloe nestled into his embrace like a well-behaved kitten, shook her head slightly, and said it was nothing. The others resumed, praising how well the two of them suited each other, and Chloe asked again what had happened earlier. Noah glanced at me and, with an implication, said, The watch you gave me is missing. Earlier, I only rested my hand on Ethan's shoulder. There's no one else but him. Chloe got up from Noah's arms and glanced at me. Then make him pay for it. After working all these years, he can't even afford to pay for a watch. Between the lines, they'd already convicted me. Miss Chloe, how much did you pay for that watch? $5 million. Everyone gasped. Sure enough, it's not cheap. I just felt this watch was unusual. Yeah, $5 million US for a watch. What kind of power is that? The acclaim from the crowd made Noah increasingly smug. He cleared his throat. Actually, this watch has been discontinued. Its market price is even higher, but we're all classmates here, so there's no need to make things too embarrassing. Chloe watched coldly from the side. Noah put on an act of generosity again, saying he didn't care. This amount of money is nothing to us, but for you, it'll probably take a decade or more to earn. Here's what we'll do. Sincerely apologize to me, and this matter will be over. I sneered. Just as I was about to snap back, someone pushed me from behind. I lost my balance instantly, knocked Noah to the ground, and also toppled the liquor he'd brought. His suit was soaked in alcohol. Chloe immediately ran over and helped Noah up, her voice sharp as she demanded, "Ethan, what do you think you're doing?" Someone behind shouted, "He must be jealous," and the topic instantly veered off. Back then, Ethan and Chloe were a couple. Now Chloe and Noah are so happy together. Of course he's jealous. Seeing his ex do well now and regretting it. Where was he before? Yeah, I really didn't expect Ethan to be that kind of person. A bunch of idiots. I pressed my lips together in anger. Someone deliberately shoved me just now. I didn't do it on purpose. Ethan, Noah interrupted me. I know, now that Chloe and I are together you feel bad, but it's been so long, and you were the one who sighed. It's all in the past. He looked as if he'd been terribly wronged. Chloe frowned and said, Ethan, it was over between us a long time ago, and it can never happen again. I held back my anger and said irritably, it was indeed over a long time ago, and it's never going to happen again. See, he's playing hard to get. No matter what I said, they all just treated me as if I were lying. I didn't want to waste any more time with this group, so I turned to leave, but Chloe grabbed me. Ethan, you haven't apologized to Noah yet. I forced down my displeasure and tried to remain composed. Someone deliberately pushed me just now. It wasn't my fault, and I won't apologize. About the watch, I'll call the police and have them investigate. Noah put on an air of magnanimity. Forget it, forget it. It's just a watch. Let him do whatever he wants. This bunch of fair-weather friends started criticizing me again. Look at Noah, then look at Ethan. There's simply no comparison. With that kind of outlook, no wonder they can succeed in starting a business. Some people have been muddling along for so many years and are still just low-level employees. Just then, Sophia and Professor Wilson arrived. What is everyone gathered here doing? Miss Sophia has arrived. The others immediately swarmed around Sophia to flatter her. The Shung family was already a major household in Star City. Sophia had long made a name for herself in the industry and become one of the world's top female CEOs. Although Chloe also had her own company, she was nowhere near a match for Sophia. Chloe stood to the side with a sullen face. Just moments ago, she had been the center of attention, but she instantly lost all her shine, and she was incredibly upset inside. I hunched forward and squeezed into the crowd. Sophia took my hand and asked me what had just happened. Before I could speak, the others all started chattering and recounted the whole story. After listening, Sophia glanced at me and asked in puzzlement, "Jealous that the two of them are together?" I shook my head repeatedly. Absolutely not. They're full of lies. Someone shoved me, and that's why I bumped into Noah. Seeing my serious expression, Sophia snorted with laughter. Of course I believe you. By the way, how much are the broken bottle and Noah's clothes? I'll pay you back. She leaned a step closer. After all, your money is all with me. Seeing the closeness between Sophia and me, everyone felt something was off. Chloe's face was colder than before, and Noah's smile had become very strained. Forget it. Just forget it. Bringing up money will hurt feelings. Noah quickly smoothed things over. I snorted coldly. Money won't harm our relationship. More important than money is the truth of the matter. Sophia nodded along, then asked me, "Did you drink?" I smiled apologetically. "Just a little. You know I've quit now." Sophia shook her head gently. "I'm not blaming you. It's just that drinking poor quality liquor is bad for you." Poor quality liquor? Everyone suddenly seized on the point. That can't be right. This was brought back by Noah from an overseas estate. "Yes, Miss Sophia. Could you be mistaken? My father-in-law loves drinking. The family's collection of liquor is at least 8,000, if not 10,000. Sophia had seen plenty and could tell authenticity and quality at a sniff. "It's not anything rare. There's no way I couldn't tell the difference." Noah's fake smile could no longer hold, and his words were loaded. "Miss Sophia and Ethan are really inseparable, aren't they?" Sophia nodded, then picked up her phone and made a call, leaving everyone puzzled. "Give it a few more minutes and the truth will come out," she explained. "This hotel belongs to our family. The manager will bring up the surveillance footage in a bit." Seeing Sophia defend me, I felt that the grievances I'd suffered today didn't matter anymore. The others couldn't sit still. They clearly regretted flattering Noah earlier. A flash of panic crossed Noah's eyes, and he pretended, "Miss Sophia, don't fabricate evidence just to protect Ethan." Sophia spoke slowly. "It's not like the fake evidence is that bad. It's you passing off inferior goods. Who are you trying to fool?" Noah was choked in his silence, and Chloe sat with a cold face, saying nothing. The truth soon came to light. It was all staged by Noah himself. He took the watch off and put it in my pocket, and even had someone lurking behind me to push me at the right moment. In the surveillance footage, Jake asked Noah, "Brother Noah, are we just going to waste this bottle of wine like this? All that trouble for one, Ethan? Not worth it." Noah's smug grin almost split his face. "It's just booze that costs a few dozen you on a bottle. Do you think I'd serve good liquor to that bunch of idiots outside? What if they can tell it's poor quality? Huh, whatever good stuff they've had before, even if I go out and fart, those pig-headed fools will still praise the smell." Jake nodded repeatedly, praising Noah for being clever. After the video ended, Noah's face turned extremely ugly. He wanted to defend himself, but no one was willing to listen. It must be from having lived abroad. People like that are just more cunning. To be honest, I thought that wine smelled like rotten grapes earlier, but I figure Noah was so wealthy he wouldn't try to fool people with cheap stuff. Now you really can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe that's exactly how he saved his money. Each sentence felt like a slap across Noah's face. His expression grew increasingly sullen, and the atmosphere turned unbearably awkward. Chloe kept her head down, unreadable, until Professor Wilson stepped out to smooth things over, and the matter finally reached a pause. Everyone returned to clinking glasses and resumed their proper manners. Have Sophia share her success experience with everyone. Professor Wilson sat at the head of the table, beaming with pride as he mentioned his prized student. I, who had been listless, suddenly perked up. My wife was about to speak. When Sophia finished speaking, she also mentioned me. Behind every successful woman, there's always a man who supports her. I owe everything I have today to my husband, Ethan. These words directly made our relationship explicit, and everyone gasped. Sophia is married? Her husband is Ethan. Ethan has been so tight-lipped. He didn't mention a word just now. Chloe sitting opposite me looked unusually strange. Her eyes were full of resentment toward me, as if I had cuckolded her. Ignoring Professor Wilson still speaking, she got up and left, and Noah hurriedly followed her. After the gathering ended, a crowd had formed around me. If only we'd known you were so low-key, we wouldn't have expected it. You and Miss Sophia are truly a perfect match of talent and beauty. Yes, you two look so well suited. Why didn't you invite us to the wedding? We've been classmates for so many years. We should have gone to congratulate you. Sophia handled work calls at the side. I didn't want to deal with the group and could only reply perfunctorily. We didn't invite outsiders to the wedding. Sorry to cut this short. I have things to attend to. The hint to send them off was obvious, and they reluctantly dispersed. Sophia had just finished the call and tugged my arm, pouting playfully. Mom said that when we go back, we should stop by the mall to pick up the birthday present she ordered for Dad. Of course. But I still have work to do in a bit. I smiled and tapped her forehead. Okay, I'll go get it. You, my lady wife, focus on your work. Sophia smiled happily, but her gaze drifted behind me as she muttered softly, Miss Chloe's been watching you the whole time, you know. She pouted unconsciously, looking unbearably cute. I pinched her cheek. But my eyes are only for you. Sophia laughed delightedly, her face lighting up. Hold me. I reached out and pulled her into my arms, whispering in her ear, I love you. I watched her get into the car before I felt safe to leave. Just as I was about to go, Chloe called after me, her nose and the corners of her eyes bright red. Did you really marry Sophia? I nodded, unwilling to say more to her. Suddenly, she grabbed her bag and struck me with it repeatedly. I stepped back in displeasure, not wanting anything to do with this madwoman. She shouted angrily, Ethan, how could you marry another woman behind my back? How could you do this to me? That sentence was utterly baffling, as if I had cheated on her. Don't talk nonsense. We broke up a long time ago. I frowned. Besides, you're about to start your own family. No, she cried out tremblingly. I'm not with Noah. I lied to you. I only wanted to make you jealous. It was all fake. You ignored me for 7 years. Her tone carried grievance. I stepped back again to put some distance between us. After I was reborn, you ran off overseas without a word. She fell silent. I continued. No matter what, it's over between us. The grudges and debts of the last life and this one are wiped clean. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. You've made achievements, and I have my own family now. Don't see me again. Hearing, we won't meet again, she panicked. Ethan, I left back then only to prove to you that my choice was the right one. I looked at her helplessly. You only want to prove to me that you're doing better than I am. If you knew my current situation, you wouldn't have come to see me at all. You just want to trample me underfoot. Chloe shook her head in denial. Ethan, these 7 years, I've thought about you every single day. Miss me? Do you regret missing me? Do you want me to stand before you, wagging my tail and begging for pity? She fell silent again. I smiled. Chloe, after we separated, I never once regretted it. No matter what happened in past lives, it's all over now. What do you mean it's over? She suddenly became agitated. In our last life, we even had Lily. How can you say it's over? Ethan, where's your conscience? If I had no conscience, I wouldn't have jumped in to save you back then, and I wouldn't have died because of it. Actually, when I was newly reborn, I felt heavy-hearted. We had been together since college, then married for 18 years. I once truly loved her and cherished that little family, which is why I risked everything to save her. But later I came to understand that we were never on the same path. Forced relationships don't bear sweet fruit. The countless arguments in our previous life all showed that our values clashed. We weren't right for each other. Two people who don't fit together only end up hurting each other. Chloe cried again. Ethan, I just don't understand. Why didn't you want to go overseas with me back then? You were alone. Only Lily and I were your relatives, and we were both overseas. What's the point of you staying in Star City? I shook my head gently. No. At first I stayed in Star City because you were here. You were pampered since childhood. Your parents didn't want you to go out and suffer. I stayed to be with you. Later it was because I cherished our home. Your parents treated me like their own son. They were getting old, and I couldn't bear to leave them. I also didn't want little Lily to be uprooted and wander around at such a young age. Chloe's eyes went blank, as if recalling the past. Chloe, did you really leave because of Lily? I looked at her. Probably not. You did it for your pride. Seeing classmates who once had worse family backgrounds doing better than you. You couldn't accept it. Don't show your face again. Take care of yourself. I turned to leave, but Chloe suddenly rushed in front of me and blocked my way. Ethan, are you speaking in anger? I know. If I left without saying a word, you'd be angry, but I'm back now, aren't I? Don't say things you don't mean. Angry words? Things she didn't mean? Where on earth did she see that? I made myself clear enough. She suddenly yanked the trinket from my neck. This is the one I gave you when we first got together. It's been over 10 years, The cord's worn and you still wear it. I reached out and took the talisman, feeling amused. In the previous life, she had indeed given me a talisman, and I had given her one back, but she had taken hers off after a few days because she thought it wasn't pretty. I wore mine for a long time. But times had changed. This one was no longer from her. It was Sophia who had brought it back for me from a country chapel. "You think too much," I said lightly. "My wife gave this to me. The one you gave me back then. I disposed of it long ago." "I don't believe you," she glared. "You're doing this on purpose to make me angry. Ethan, go get a divorce. I don't care that you'll be marrying a second time. If you don't want to go overseas, I'll stay in Star City for you. Now that I have money, I can support all your decisions. We'll have another child and bring Lily back to us." She was still stubborn and unreasonable. Communicating with her was truly a headache. I sighed. "I won't divorce Sophia." "You're not going to divorce?" I ignored her, strode away, and heard her shout from behind, "Fine. Then don't regret it." After that gathering, I never saw Noah and Chloe again. But I knew Noah's spiteful nature. After being humiliated like that, he'd definitely find a way to get revenge. Sure enough, it didn't take long before a video started circulating online claiming that after the blogger used renovation materials from my Taylor & Johnson studio, the house had excessive levels of formaldehyde and toxic gases. Once the news broke, the whole internet was in an uproar. Taylor & Johnson is the biggest interior design and renovation company in Star City. How could they do something so heartless? Oh my God, I booked one of their designers for later this year. Now, I don't dare use them. I rubbed my furrowed brow. Taylor & Johnson is my design studio. After we married, it was placed under the Taylor Group. Now the toxic house incident has been escalating, and the Taylor Group stock has been affected as well. On one hand, orders for the studio keep getting canceled. On the other, the board is tightening the screws. All of this has me frazzled, and I still haven't figured out whether the trouble is internal or external. The company's internal management has always been strict. There's no way they would deliberately substitute inferior goods, yet the problems keep coming. Old orders are being canceled one after another. People turn up downstairs to protest every day, and the material suppliers we work with are breaking contracts for fear of getting burned. I've been working late into the night for a whole week. "Honey, don't work for now. I made you some soup. Have a drink and rest a bit." Just as I was fretting over the reports, Sophia's voice suddenly sounded. She came in carrying a thermal container, her smile against the light angelic. Sophia has been my salvation. Since I met her, she has been with me through every difficult moment, always encouraging and affirming me. It's because of her that I've made it this far. This time, too, she stood up to the board's pressure for me. Otherwise, I would have long ago been made the scapegoat by those old directors. "Honey, try it." I simmered it for so long. Sophia clung to my arm and acted coy. A warm feeling surged in my chest. Indulgently, I tickled her nose. "Okay." The sweet aroma of the corn spread in my mouth, and my thoughts drifted back to my past life. Back then, I was framed by a rival company and faced huge compensation claims. Pressure so suffocating I could hardly breathe. After dealing with investigations and work each day, I still had to do the laundry, cook, and tutor Lily with her homework at home. I was visibly exhausted. Chloe, meanwhile, would just sit on the couch watching dramas and snacking, sneering. Why didn't I get that luck to find a husband who's both handsome and rich? My husband isn't rich, fine, but he's gotten ugly, and he might even end up owing a ton of debt. Sigh. Such a hard life. Married a useless man. If you really rack up debts, I'll definitely divorce you. I used to think she had a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. Now I understood. That was pure disdain from the bottom of her heart. This crisis is especially thorny. The other side even produced the original quotation document as evidence, which clearly shows premeditation. The Jubal video online was logically tight and even hired experts to test live. The results showed large amounts of toxic gases in the renovation materials, making it extremely difficult for Taylor and Johnson to prove their innocence. Overnight, white hairs sprang up on my head, and Sophia, distressed, rubbed my temples. "Honey, I think that's not the house we renovated." Her tone was excited, and I was full of confusion. "What do you mean?" "Photos and videos can reveal the shooting location. You can determine it by the weather and landmark buildings. I remember this client house is in Building A, but from Building A you can't even see that hotel." Sophia pointed to the corner of the hotel visible in the video. "Right, the building's position is wrong. Could they have found another unit and furnished it to look exactly like the client's house to frame us?" I hadn't thought of that before, but during their live stream, they even matched the community name and location. I hurriedly instructed my secretary to contact professionals for a location analysis and excitedly kissed Sophia's forehead. "Wife, you really are my lucky star." The appraisal result came back quickly. The video had been shot in Building C, not the unit we had renovated. As soon as the studio's statement was released, the other party went silent. We demanded a retest, but could no longer reach that influencer. Only after the police got involved did we learn the person online was not the homeowner at all, but a paid imposter, and it was all aimed at bringing down Taylor and Johnson. After the imposter was caught, they only claimed they had done it for the money. But I knew it wasn't that simple. The studio's contract documents weren't something ordinary people could obtain. There had to be a leak inside the company. Who the mastermind was and what their goal was remained unknown, so I began watching everyone who had access to the contracts. One day, I forgot my keys and returned to the office, finding the lights on in the administration lounge. Mr. Lucas White from admin is a workaholic. He has been with me since I started the business, has never taken a day off, and is the person I trust most. I went to the door intending to urge him to rest early, but stopped a meter away when ambiguous sound from inside made the scene instantly clear to me. I carefully hid behind the door and peered through the crack, and there was Chloe. From her silhouette, I could tell the person with her was Lucas. It felt like countless silver needles had pierced me, a dense, aching pain. My most trusted employee had betrayed me. I instinctively took out my phone and recorded evidence of their tryst. Chloe is cheating. A few days ago, she was acting all lovey-dovey with Noah at the party. Then she turned and made a passionate confession to me. You really can't trust a word that woman says. The two of them fiddled around for an hour before tidying their clothes to leave. I hurriedly put away my phone and slipped out while they didn't notice. Back in the study, I checked repeatedly. The man's build, hairstyle, and ears in the video all confirmed it was definitely Lucas. The next day, I walked into the administration office and saw Lucas beaming at his phone. "What, dating someone recently?" Smiling so happily. I teased as I leaned over. He nervously touched his nose. No, a new wallet?" I picked up the wallet on his desk. "Ooh, crocodile skin." While he wasn't looking, I slipped a tiny bug into the wallet. "Was it a gift from your girlfriend?" "No. Where'd I get a girlfriend?" Lucas laughed it off and snatched the wallet back, his whole demeanor giving him away. I snorted inwardly, but smiled outwardly. "We've been brothers for so many years. You've been with me since I started my business. I've long considered you a good friend. If you get married, I'll definitely give you a big red envelope." He didn't dare look up at me, only nodding repeatedly, not realizing he had already been written out of my life script. After listening in for a few days, I learned they were going to a high-end Western restaurant that evening for a date. I drove after them and arrived at the restaurant entrance right behind them, only to be stopped by a waiter. "Sorry, sir. Our restaurant only admits VIPs. I'm with the gentleman who just went in." But Lucas had already turned and entered the elevator, disappearing without a trace. "That gentleman is here on a date with his girlfriend." The waiter still blocked me. How can I become a VIP? If I miss this opportunity, who knows when we'll meet again? Make an initial recharge of $500,000, and you can reserve a table in advance. Charge it. Anything money can solve isn't a problem. The waiter took my black card and smiled. "Sir, you're really lucky. There's exactly one private room left today. Would you like to reserve it?" I nodded and walked in. This Western restaurant is tastefully decorated and dimly lit, perfect for an affair. The entire place has only 8 private rooms. Only 8 guests are accepted each day, and each room has a small inner compartment. It's practically a shrine for cheating. Taking advantage of the moment, when the waiter was bringing food, I slipped into Lucas's room and took a few intimate photos of the two of them, then anonymously sent the photo link to Noah and returned to my own room to watch the show. But the anticipated scene of Noah exploding in rage never happened. He didn't even reply. Chloe's face is clearly visible in the photos. Could it be that he doesn't care his fiancée is cheating? A bold thought suddenly occurred to me. Could Chloe and Lucas being together be orchestrated by Noah? After all, Noah's company wants to enter the mainland market, and Taylor & Johnson would be the biggest obstacle. Noah has always had no scruples and would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. It seemed relying on Noah's fury to break the stalemate wouldn't work. The next day, Lucas came to deliver the administrative department report. He set down the file and tried to escape. I watched his retreating back and fell in a thought. Lucas's character isn't actually so bad. We've known each other for many years, and there's some affection between us. His guilty manner toward me shows he still has a conscience. Lucas, we haven't eaten together in a long time. Let's get together tonight. I pushed open the administrative office door. He was indeed startled by me and, half-dazed, agreed. At the dining table, I pushed the photo toward him. I suspected everyone except you. My tone was distant as I stared at him intently, not wanting to miss any of his expressions. He instantly became flustered, the tips of his fingers holding the glass whitening. He couldn't form a complete sentence for a long time. I pressed him step by step. Why? Why betray me? Was I not good to you? No, Ethan, you were very good to me. He suddenly stood up, agitated. When I just graduated, I had no money, and my father suddenly fell seriously ill. When I was at my wit's end, you sold your car to raise the surgery fees for me. You were our family's lifesaver. Then why did you do it? I was possessed. Lucas bowed deeply. Ethan, do with me as you wish. It's my fault to the company. I sighed. Who was the mastermind? He kept his head down and refused to say. This idiot was still pretending to be so responsible. Were those contracts all signed off by you? He shook his head at first, then quickly nodded. I looked at him and saw myself back when Chloe deceived me. Chloe and I were college classmates, I said slowly. He jerked his head up, eyes wide with shock. We dated in college. Later she broke up with me because she thought I was poor and went abroad to be with Noah. A while ago they even got engaged. I set their engagement photo in front of him. Lucas's eyes instantly filled with tears. His family wasn't well off. He had worked multiple part-time jobs since college, and after starting his career, he practically lived at the company for overtime pay and travel allowances. Only in the past couple of years had his situation improved enough for him to start thinking about relationships. Chloe was probably his first girlfriend. I patted his shoulder. Choking up, he said, Ethan, fire me. It's my fault for not managing the files properly and causing such a big loss to the company. I'm not a saint, so I could only say, quit on your own. It'll at least be dignified. After Lucas left, I received a text from an unknown number. From the tone, I knew it was Chloe. You chased Lucas away? You saw me with another man and got jealous? I always knew you were like this. Beg me and I'll come back. I couldn't be bothered and immediately blocked and deleted it. I was struggling to find dirt on Noah and hadn't had a moment's peace when I ran into him at a gala. Noah wore a well-tailored haute couture suit, holding a glass of red wine, moving effortlessly among the business elites. I entered arm in arm with Sophia and instantly drew everyone's attention. After all, the gala was essentially a Taylor Group investment event. People surrounded us with small talk, and Noah's gaze was venomous, fixated on our movements. I tightened my arm around Sophia's shoulder and met his stare without fear. Everyone present was sharp. There was no hiding the undercurrents between us. Come, I'll drink to you, Miss Sophia. Mr. Ethan. Noah stepped forward, his words squeezed out through his teeth, his resentment nearly impossible to hide. Someone pushed him from behind. Noah lost his balance and fell against the edge of the table, and the glass of red wine in his hand splashed right onto me. Oh dear, such a grown-up still manages to trip on flat ground. Yeah, Mr. Noah, are you all right? Mocking, snide laughter rose around me. I've never liked that kind of proud and petty attitude, and my brows tightened further. Noah's face flushed pale, then dark with anger. His fists clenched until they went white. The others turned their attention to me again. Mr. Ethan, are you all right? This outfit isn't cheap. Mr. Noah should pay for it. Haha. With Mr. Ethan's status, that bespoke suit must be worth at least $1 million. I wonder if Mr. Noah's company even makes that much net profit in a year. I sighed helplessly. The whole scene was suffocating. I'm fine. No need to pay. Forget it. I looked down and wiped the stain off my clothes. Mr. Ethan truly has the stomach of a prime minister. Everyone echoed in agreement, showering him with flattering praise one after another. Sophia took my hand. Then excuse us for a moment. Let's go change. Her gracious smile successfully pulled me out of that awkward situation. We left arm in arm, and no one noticed the sinister expression on Noah's face behind us. A sharp phone ring interrupted Sophia's and my pleasant reverie. It was our secretary Emma, sounding frantic. Miss Sophia, Mr. Ethan, bad news. Our warehouse is on fire. The Taylor Group's warehouse stored a batch of high-precision instruments. If they were destroyed, the loss would be incalculable. We hurried out of bed and rushed to the scene. By the time we arrived, the fire had been brought under control. The instruments weren't completely destroyed, but they couldn't be put to use. The negligent security guard was taken away for questioning by the police, and the surveillance outside the warehouse captured a man in black. Though his cap and mask hid him well, from the way he walked, I already had my answer. The police quickly arrested the killer. He confessed without reservation to the arson and to framing Taylor and Johnson. The matter was finally settled, but the doubts in my heart remained unresolved. Noah and I had no grievance between us, so why did he keep targeting me? If it was because of Chloe, the logic doesn't hold. If you truly love someone, how could you make them use their body to trade for benefits? The next time I saw Noah, he had completely changed. His prison uniform hung loosely on him, his face covered in stubble, and the dark circles under his eyes were so heavy they seemed about to drop to the floor. When he saw me, a mocking smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Never thought you lucky bastard would be able to marry the heiress of the Taylor Group. Well, how's living off someone else? Tastes good. His eyes were bloodshot, like a beast that had been suppressed for a long time. I married Sophia because we were equally capable and our values aligned, I said evenly. Ha ha. He suddenly threw his head back and laughed, slapping the glass hard with his palm. Pa, you're such a hypocrite. Why are you always picking on me? I asked, voicing my greatest confusion. Because you're a self-righteous little nobody. I want to trample you underfoot, make you taste humility, he snarled through clenched teeth. I was even more puzzled. University was our only point of contact, and we had barely spoken. I knew about you before term started. A genius designer. Your reputation was huge. I went up to say hello, and you? You didn't even glance my way, wearing a hat and sketching away. A genius designer can't even say hello? He was still angry when he brought it up. My parents were busy with work. From childhood to now, the times I saw them are countable on one hand. The only opportunities to be together were when they came home during the day on holidays to pick up documents. So short that I couldn't even get 3 words out. His gaze drifted as he fell into memory. Those days of being ignored hurt in a way money couldn't fix. So I hate everyone who ignores me. I desperately shine, I desperately climb up. But you, Ethan, not only did you ignore me, you stole all my brilliance and blocked my way. Whenever I look up, I see you. That feeling makes me sick. So I swore I'd trample you underfoot and take everything from you. Look, your beloved Chloe. Didn't I steal her? She sounded so good in bed. She said what I gave her was what you never did. Ethan, are you not man enough? He smiled ambiguously and smugly. He had completely lost his mind, hating me as an imagined enemy for so many years. With his circumstances, he should have had a better life, but hatred trapped him in a cage, jealousy blinded him, and he ended up like this. I spoke slowly. You're really a terrible person. I never slept with Chloe. If I love her, I should cherish her, not possess her. Noah felt as if the sky had fallen. He thought he had won a battle, but that battle had never existed from the start. I like to wear noise-canceling headphones when I draw. I don't like working in noisy environments. On the first day of school, my hat covered the headphones, so I didn't hear you call me at all. After saying that, I turned and walked away. Behind me came the dull thud of him pounding on the glass, and soon he was restrained by the prison guards. Not only did he face imprisonment, he also had to bear huge compensation payments. His assets were all sold off. In that moment, he had nothing. Even the hatred that sustained him was fabricated. A few days after being imprisoned, news came that Noah had killed himself. He tried to swallow things and to bang his head against walls, but was stopped. In the end, he deliberately provoked a cellmate and was beaten to death. The day the news of Noah's death arrived, Chloe appeared in front of me, her eyes glaring frighteningly bright, carrying an almost mad obsession. "Ethan, you won. You're better than Noah. Now you can be with me." I frowned, my tone impatient. "What are you talking about?" "I've told you before. There's no way anything can happen between us. I don't want to get tangled up with her anymore," so I turned and strode away, but she caught up in 3 quick steps, wrapping her arms tightly around my waist, her head rubbing against my back. Her touch made me physically nauseous. I wrenched her hands off forcefully and took a big step back to put distance between us. "Speak properly if you have something to say. Don't grab and pull. Why can't we be a little rough? We're husband and wife. We used to do everything, and now you're telling me this." Chloe's eyes instantly reddened, her nose flushed with grievance, looking utterly pitiable, but I felt nothing, only wanting to sever this ill-fated tie as quickly as possible. "That was all in a past life. Don't bring it up again." I lifted my foot to leave. She grabbed my arm and asked cautiously, "Ethan, are you still mad at me?" I was annoyed and shut my eyes, unwilling to look at her, but she misunderstood. "Then I'll apologize, okay?" She actually knelt down as she spoke, crying with tears on her cheeks like pear blossoms in the rain. "I know. Is it because I'm with Lucas that you think I'm dirty? But you're remarried too, so neither of us should look down on the other. Besides, this is partly your fault. If you divorced sooner, none of this would have happened." Chloe really was Chloe. Even if she knelt and admitted she was wrong, she could still shift the blame onto someone else. "I already said it. We're done. Who you choose to be with is your own business," I said helplessly. Seeing I wouldn't soften, she changed tactics, stood up from the floor, and demanded with righteous indignation, "Then return all of Noah's assets to me." She finally mentioned her ultimate goal. "Impossible," I said firmly, with an authority that brooked no doubt. "The losses Noah caused the Taylor Group are incalculable. That property can only be used to compensate the group." Chloe clearly hadn't expected me to refuse. She stood stunned for a moment before snapping back and instantly turning into a shrew. "I don't care. You must pay me back today. That's my money. You're a thief, trying to seize my private property." Her voice grew increasingly shrill. I had reached my limit. I called the security guards to drag her away. As she left, she kept shouting that she hoped I would die a miserable death. At first, I didn't take it to heart. After all, she always liked to talk tough, but once my brake pad started failing, nothing was under control. The failing brakes and the thermos full of alcohol kept reminding me that my life was in danger. After calling the police, all I could do was be extra careful. I stayed constantly on alert, protecting myself and Sophia. Everything was fine on Sophia's side, and the incidents on my side gradually decreased. Until that night, when a group of men in black suddenly rushed out of the garage. I'd been working late into the night, exhausted in body and mind. Before I could react, they swarmed me. Dressed in black and wielding baseball bats, they swung without a word. 2 fists couldn't match 4 hands. I could only shield my head as blows hammered from my back down to my abdomen, blood mixed with saliva spilling out. "All right, don't kill him. It's a hassle." The leader commanded, and the others stopped. "That voice is familiar. It's Jake. I don't know what favors Noah and Chloe gave him, but he was willing to do their dirty work." "Spit." Jake spat phlegm in my face. "Worthless." He swung the baseball bat again and smashed my car window, The sound of shattering glass seemed to only make him angrier. He pulled out a key and scratched the car's body, cursing, "Bastard! Piece of dog!" The insults gave me a splitting headache, and my tone turned sharp. "Jake, do you know what you're doing? Can you take responsibility for destroying this car?" Jake widened his eyes. "It's this late, and you're still pretending? You're the one who should think about the consequences. Who do you think you are? Nothing but a man living off a woman's money. I'm going to beat you right now." Saying that, Jake lunged forward. Harsh curses and blows rained down on me. The people around not only didn't stop him, but laughed brazenly and soon joined in smashing the car. When the violence finally ended, I was a wreck, forcing out through clenched teeth, "I hope you all take responsibility for what you've done." If Noah's targeting had any reason, Jake's violence was pure malice. He liked to bully others, enjoying the look of helplessness on his victims' faces as if that gave him pleasure. I didn't know what deal he had with Chloe, but I had long suspected that the only backup Chloe could bring was him. So I kept my guard up. "Yo, what's this?" Jake reached to snatch the talisman around my neck, a prayer charm Sophia had gotten for me step by step. "Don't!" I gritted my teeth and snarled, but the more I cared, the more Jake provoked. He took the charm off and toyed with it. "You still believe in this junk? I'd say toss it. Life's no big deal if you live too long." With that, he hurled the talisman into the corner. I suppressed my anger. Only by seeming composed could I bluff Jake into ending his farce. But Jake kept spouting filthy insults, clearly trying to make me lose my temper. I refused to give him the satisfaction and kept my eyes closed, calm and collected. His chest heaved violently as he reached up and grabbed my throat, sneering lecherously. "What's your wife like? How about letting the boys take turns tasting her?" I could no longer control my emotions. My eyes turned bloodshot as I stared at him. Jake looked thoroughly pleased. The reason he was so brazen was because he had a father who could shield him. Sending him to the police would be useless. "Is your wife's chest soft or not?" That. Jake was getting into his stride when, in the distance, the wail of police sirens suddenly came. "Ha ha, that's all you've got. Do you know who my dad is?" Jake sneered. "I know. I'll make you pay," I said, my voice weak but unshakably resolute. "All right, I want to see how you make me pay." Jake expertly got into the police car, as naturally as if he were going home. He didn't know that I had long ago collected evidence of his father's embezzlement and bribery and sent it to the disciplinary authorities. His father would soon be taken in with him, and he would lose all his backing. At most, Chloe could be accused of instigation in this matter, but Jake didn't implicate her. Later, I heard from Leo that Chloe had gone abroad and finally left. I was at last rid of her entanglement. On my birthday, Sophia woke me up early. "Honey, get ready. Your wife is taking you out." She was full of energy first thing in the morning, kissing my cheeks and forehead repeatedly like a playful little kitten. I looked at her indulgently. "So early? Won't you sleep a little longer?" My voice was still hoarse. It was only 6 in the morning, hardly Sophia's usual schedule. Sophia said with a smile, "Such a wonderful time. How could I use it for sleeping?" She led me to a Sky Garden restaurant. It turned out she had secretly arranged a birthday party for me. From the moment we entered the hall, one surprise after another filled my day. Looking at Sophia's smiling face, I felt incredibly lucky to have married such a good wife. She stayed with me when I was down, cared for me when I was exhausted, and it was even she who first confessed her feelings in our relationship. I once asked Sophia why she chose me as her husband, why she treated me so well. She said firmly, "Because you're worth it." Sophia said she had known me for a very long time, back when I was helping an old woman push an apple cart by the roadside. "Do you know why I insisted on choosing Professor Wilson as my supervisor?" "Because I wanted to be your fellow disciple, because you were there. But later you and Chloe got together, and I could only quietly wish you both well from the sidelines. Fortunately, fate still smiled upon me. I finally get to be with you. Actually, meeting her in this life was my true luck. That night we spent was extraordinarily beautiful. The next day, Chloe actually appeared at my company's entrance. Her face was deathly pale, the dark circles under her eyes obvious, looking extremely haggard. When she saw me, she immediately stood up and hopped over, unable to hide the joy in her voice. "You're back? Didn't you say you were leaving? Why are you here?" I said coldly, not wanting any more entanglement with her. Hearing this, Chloe was overjoyed, surely misunderstanding that I was showing concern for her. She said happily, "Ethan, yesterday was your birthday. I've been waiting here for you. This is the birthday present I got you." She took a delicate gift box out of her bag. Inside was a watch identical to the one Noah had. I glanced at it and said, "Sorry, my wife would misunderstand. I don't want my wife to be unhappy." "Ethan." She was somewhat displeased, eyes red as she glared at me. Then her tone softened. "I've already sold all my overseas assets. For now on, I'll stay in Star City. Go nowhere, just be with you." "Ethan, could you stop being so cold to me, please? I'm hurting. I know I've done a lot of wrong things before. I'm apologizing to you. Please forgive me." She kept repeating, "I'm sorry, and I was wrong," over and over, her attitude humbly unlike before, but I only felt a headache. "Chloe, I already made it very clear last time. It's long over between us. Whether you accept it or not, it's impossible," I said, my face dark, my heart full of displeasure. "Honey," Sophia walked over with a small box. "A little gift for today. Hope you have a wonderful day." Since we got together, she prepares little surprises for me every day. I took the gift and gently kissed her forehead. Chloe looked at us in disbelief, wiped her tears, blurted a hurried hello, and then turned and ran away. "Am I scary?" Sophia muttered softly. I chuckled lightly. "Of course not. What were you just talking about?" I heard her say she wanted to be with you. Her little jealous look was absolutely adorable. I rubbed her nose and asked, "So did you hear your husband say impossible in a full, strong voice?" After that, Chloe didn't show up in front of me for a long time, but kept sending me messages from different phone numbers, either reminiscing about the past or apologizing. I blocked her whenever I saw them, but she persisted. Later, she said she was sick and asked me to visit. I'm not a doctor, so I simply changed my number and finally had some peace. We met again at the hospital. Chloe was wearing a patient gown, emaciated. When she saw me, she ran over. "Ethan, are you here to see me?" "No. I'm accompanying my wife for a checkup," I said calmly. The light in Chloe's eyes dimmed instantly. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but her words were illogical, perhaps because she was ill. She began rambling about our past again. I cut her off. "Chloe, do you know you're talking nonsense?" She paused, as if pondering my words. When Sophia walked over, I immediately stepped forward to steady her. "Honey, walk slowly. Where are you rushing off to in such a hurry? You look so worried." "I'm only 2 months along," Sophia said with a smile. "Then you need to be even more careful. I don't want you to suffer." The two of us chatted and laughed as we walked toward the hospital entrance. "Husband, next time let's choose a different place for the checkup," Sophia said softly. "Otherwise we keep running into people we know." "Okay," I said indulgently, tapping her nose. "With that pout, you could hang an oil can off it." Although she was jealous, I felt incredibly happy at that moment. From behind, Chloe suddenly shouted in a crying voice, "Ethan, what do I have to do for you to come back to me?" I didn't stay, because I would never go back to her again. What's past is past, and I should cherish the life I have now. I was worried Chloe might do something extreme, so I told Sophia not to leave my side, but Sophia couldn't sit still. During the 2 hours I was in a meeting, she sneaked out to go shopping. Unexpectedly, she ran into Chloe as soon as she stepped outside. "Sophia Taylor, I want you to go to hell." Chloe's face was pale, her eye sockets sunken, her hair a mess. Waving a blood-stained syringe, she lunged at Sophia. "This is HIV I spent a lot of money to buy. I'll send you and your child to hell." "Why? Why can you have a baby with Ethan? What about me? What am I?" she yelled with her mouth open, spitting onto the ground. "You have all wronged me." Sophia turned and ran, Chloe close on her heels. There was nowhere to hide by the roadside, and Sophia, being pregnant, quickly fell behind, sweating profusely with panic. When she turned back, Chloe had already closed in. By the time I arrived, Sophia had her eyes shut, her whole body radiating despair. Chloe held up a syringe, her eyes bloodshot, a cruel grin on her face as she shouted, "Die." I had no time for anything else. I kicked Chloe to the ground, pulled the crouching Sophia up, and shielded her behind me. "I'm going to kill you." Chloe got up and charged again. Fortunately, during the earlier scuffle, her syringe had somehow rolled away. While protecting Sophia, I fended off Chloe's attacks and took quite a few hits. She was like a lunatic, even starting to bite me. Luckily, the police arrived in time and subdued her. Before being put into the patrol car, she glared at us viciously, muttering, "You'll die badly." She was long gone from the refined elegance she had when she returned to the country. Her sunken cheeks and disheveled hair made her look like a homeless person. "Ethan." Sophia looked at the wounds on my body, eyes full of tears. I patted her arm to signal it was nothing, just minor injuries. "From now on, I won't go out alone anymore." Sophia's voice was as thin as a kitten's as she bowed her head in self-reproach. I nuzzled her forehead affectionately. "It's okay, baby. The bad guys have all been caught now. You can go out with peace of mind." "They're bad. My wife is the best." Chloe was clamoring to see me in prison. I originally intended to ignore her, but Sophia leaned on my shoulder and suggested, "Go see her, clear the air, so she can give up completely." I thought about it and realized it was time to make a clean break. When I saw Chloe again, she was thinner than before, her face lifeless, like a walking corpse. She sat down across the glass and stared blankly past me. "Ethan, you never kept your promises to me." Her voice wavered, as if she had used up all her strength. "My promise to you belonged to a previous life," I said evenly. "When I proposed, I swore I would treat you well and not let domestic trifles bind your freedom. I have kept those vows. We didn't marry in this life. Even our breakup was abrupt. As for the reasons, I don't need to remind you." I frowned slightly, my tone full of distance, wanting only to sever this ill-fated tie quickly. Chloe's lips moved, but in the end she said nothing. "Don't ever disturb my life again," I said, then walked away without looking back. After that, I never heard from Chloe again. She vanished from my world entirely. Sophia safely gave birth to a daughter, and our little family of 3 lived quietly and warmly. On another anniversary, Sophia and I clinked glasses and talked about the past. "My life has been full of hardships. My parents died when I was young, and I grew up in an orphanage. Whenever I spoke of those days, I always felt a little melancholy. Mr. Ethan, a thank you letter arrived from one of the orphanage students you sponsored. Would you like to see it?" The phone's ring interrupted my thoughts. We went to the company together. Sophia sat in the chair while I stood behind her. "The boy who wrote the letter is named Owen. He's 15, and he was admitted to the city high school with the top score in the county. For pages long, the handwriting neat and tidy, full of gratitude. Reading the letter, a warmth rose in my heart, as if I were seeing myself from over a decade ago. Life was hard then, but kind people always helped, and it was precisely because of that I was able to get to where I am today. "Let's go to the orphanage together and take a look," I said, resting my forehead against Sophia's. "Of course. I was just about to see where you grew up." She put the letter down and wrapped her arms around my waist. "The orphanage is more than 1,000 kilometers from Star City. We packed gifts and toys and traveled the whole day. Aunt Taylor, drink some water." Owen brought 2 cups of warm water, obedient and sensible. Most of the children here are like him. I took the cup and patted his head. "Go play." Owen ran off shyly. "Look at this little hillside. It's full of persimmon trees. The fruit in autumn is so sweet." I held Sophia's hand and showed her every view. These places all bear traces of my growing up. Sophia eagerly tugged me, asking questions like a curious little kid. "Then we'll come once in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. I want to see the scenery in every season." I pulled her into my arms and promised with a smile. "Mom, is this Uncle Ethan? Why is Uncle's photo here? Who is this aunt?" my daughter Mia asked Sophia, pointing at the invitation. "This is a wedding invitation. Uncle Ethan is going to marry this auntie." Sophia snatched it away quickly before I could tear it up. That was Lucas's invitation. He'd been tricked back then, too. Even though he left the studio, we're still friends, and now he's finally settling down. Mom! Mia squealed, knitting her brows in displeasure at Sophia stealing the invitation. Her tiny features crumpled into a ball, her eyes full of fury. Kids can't play with Uncle's invitations. I pinched her chubby little cheek and put her on my lap. Dad, look at her. Can't you control your wife? Mia pouted and complained to me. My daughter is only 3, white and soft like a little steamed bun. I gave her the name Mia. She is the treasure Sophia and I hold in our hands. We have no expectations for her. We only wish for her to grow up happy. If you want to tell Mommy nicely and don't go breaking things. I lifted Mia up and put her down, making her giggle. Okay. Mia pressed her soft lips to my cheek. This child always loves to act sweet. She then turned and gave Sophia a loud kiss. All right, our Mia can play whatever she wants. Mommy will take you to the supermarket later to buy tasty treats. Sophia handed the invitation to our daughter and gently kissed her cheek. All these years, our life has been like this, simple and warm. May our family remain happy like this forever. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. You? Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. Oh my God, it really is you, Mary. Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. Frank, it's been a long time. She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew. A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. Aren't you allergic to mangoes? I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing. I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. When did you start smoking? I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor. I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level. Frank's eyes widened. You mean, she's not Mary? I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up. 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. Mary is an only child. We all know that. I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. George, Mary is going to have a baby, my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that? I managed to ask. Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life. My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. Mary, could you come here for a moment? I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. Did you forget about this? I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. George, I can explain. Explain what? Explain that you're not Mary at all. Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. What's going on with you two? Mom, take a look at this. I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. What's going on? Mary, you can't have children. Of course she can, I sneered, because she's not Mary at all. My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. What nonsense are you talking about? I can explain. She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly. My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's. Yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the 3rd day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. They're after your painting, the private detective asserted, and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust. I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. "It's taking too long," Tom said irritably. "How much longer until he sells the painting?" "Don't worry," she soothed him. "I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money." "You're really pregnant?" "That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly." "Does Annie know the truth?" "She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help." I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. "You don't actually have feelings for George, do you?" Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. "It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word." "Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it." Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. "This is a surprise I prepared for you," I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. "To celebrate the new life we're about to begin." She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. "It's beautiful, thank you." She smiled as she prepared to put it on. "Wait," I stopped her. "Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back?" She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved." She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. "See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace." I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, "After all, this is your final design." Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. "Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light." On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. "The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon," I replied with a smile. "This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it." Mary immediately chimed in. "Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future." I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. "Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting." Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up, "Mary. This is my wife, Mary." I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank. Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I study jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, the pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice, and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, in memory, dedicated to teacher Mary. Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines, with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. New friend? He asked me quietly. Mary's student, I explained simply. Very talented. Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of teacher Nicole and teacher George. After the exhibition, the 3 of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. Mr. George, Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. I've always had a question I wanted to ask you. What is it? After you finished the pursuit, what are you planning to create next? The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since the pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. I haven't decided yet, I answered honestly. It might take some time to find a new direction. Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. Maybe, Nicole said softly, you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further. I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. You mean, creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry? Exactly. Nicole said excitedly, your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect. The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, I have to confess something. I looked at her in confusion. I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you, she said candidly. I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion. Her sincerity moved me. You're already on that path, and you're doing very well. Then, may I consult you often? She asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, see, I knew you would find a new direction. When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. Not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. Am I really up to the task? She asked me in the studio. You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone, I assured her. That's exactly what I need. In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it. At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's all right, I said with a smile. I think Mary really would like it. She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself. Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, Professor George, may I ask you a personal question? What is it? When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole. I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. "I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare," she said at last. "I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well." As she left, she handed me a small package. "These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them." Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. "The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design." "Perhaps," I said. "Everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, Teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. "I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger." In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. "You have feelings for her. That's obvious." "That's just professional rapport," I argued. "Is that so?" Frank looked at me meaningfully. "Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France?" I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. "I know what you're worried about." Frank lowered his voice. "You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you?" I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. "Mary has been gone for 3 years now." Frank gently patted my shoulder. "She would want you to be happy." After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. "Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months." Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. "This experience has meant so much to me." "I should be thanking you," I said sincerely. "Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed." We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. "My flight is the morning after tomorrow," Nicole finally said. "I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other." 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. "Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there." She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. "Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity." "What is it?" "I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works." She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. "I didn't know that," I said in surprise. "I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion." Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. "But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you." I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond. She gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was. I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project, a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. Mary, the exhibition was a great success today, I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted. Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me. A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, I've been thinking about something. What is it? If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, You might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met. Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. Perhaps that's the irony of fate, I said softly. Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings. When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path. Luna, I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talent. Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars, I sighed. Everyone deserves a second chance. That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. You mean? A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration, she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. Love. I finished her sentence. No matter what form it takes. Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration. Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. We have time, she smiled, holding my hand. We have so much time. In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines 2 embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the Eternal Ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, We'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.